Hello. So, I thought I would do a video again and I could talk about that experience I had with that one male who was older than me, over 20 years older than me. So, how that was like to experience. Let's just get into that world. Now, trying to focus. So, that one male I experienced. So I was 16 when I started noticing him. I was like very young, and he took contact with me when I was 18. It was that summer, so it was 2013. And yes, I think I have the year right. So then he took contact with me and he wrote a message to me to my Facebook, and I saw the email where he had wrote a message, and then I went to Facebook and I read it, and that's how it began. So now the thing is, he was writing to me at some point that he had still a girlfriend and he was with her. So I thought that it was over. What he said, that he was about to leave her. So we were talking about this, and he wrote like if he should leave her or something like this. And he wrote to me about like my opinion about the thing, and that's basically how it went. Then we met, and we met the first time on my 19th birthday. So it was in a dark forest, and it was close to where I lived. So it would be easier for me to go and meet him, like when it was like close to my home. So that's where we met. But the thing is, it wasn't over with her and him. I think they were still together, so I was like the second woman. So I'm sorry about that. And that leads me to another theme that I should talk about, and that is definitely my ADHD type of thing. And I should probably talk about that in a separate video, but I could introduce it a little bit here. I think I'm impulsive and I act upon feeling, and I'm very emotional and also borderline traits, but definitely more like the impulsive type. And I get bored easily. I get chronically bored, and I could save this to that ADHD video, but it's gonna take a while for me to do it. So I'm gonna do it in a clean way and have a whole video to that, and a borderline and such maybe in the future, but it takes too much right now for my concentration and focus. So I'm gonna mesh these things up a little bit in videos, like I'm talking about ADHD, I'm talking about borderline, and I think it's easier maybe also in a one way to watch the non-perfect videos. But yes, so I was in psychotherapy when I got interested in him. I was in psychotherapy, and I was 16, and that's when a lot of emotion surfaced, and I couldn't really handle all that emotion, and I was like so triggered, and I expressed a lot of emotion when I got into this man, but it wasn't the reason. The reason was I got interested in him, and impulsively I didn't think about the consequences. I just thought about that there was a random man standing there on the balcony. This is how we met. And he was smoking there. So I just got interested in this whole like a man I didn't know, and he was there, and I wanted attention. So I got it. I got the attention. He had noticed me there in the window. So I was like next to the window, and I saw him smoking on that balcony, and that's how we got to know each other. And then he saw me walking the dog outside, so their balcony was really close to our windows, so that sounds a little creepy. But yes, this is one of like the worst things I've done in my past, that story, and I can like let it out now just so it will sort things out for people who were wondering. And then you can ask more. Like, I don't have to tell everything. Like, that's one of the worst experiences. And I can tell here in this video another experience that is probably the worst was getting involved with a teenager boy. And before the police contacts me, no, I didn't do anything with him. But there again, my impulsivity took over, and I got angry and I lashed out, just like in my past. I've done that. So I lashed out on him like he was my neighbor. And getting just involved with a teenager boy like this is just not right. And there was too many feelings and emotion, and that was probably the worst I've done so far. So I have got into trouble with my impulsivity. Definitely. I don't know if it's the borderline or if it's the ADHD, but definitely you can see a pattern of me having emotion and then lashing out. And that's what I did on Facebook too. And when I read now my posts, I don't understand like what I have wrote. And yes. So in spirituality, I've also been impulsive and like that. So I've done things and then regretted it later. So I kind of count that on impulsive behavior, impulsivity. But so this older man, this teenager boy, oh my god. So the teenager boy was younger than me, and he was like 14, 15, 16 when he was like in my life. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's embarrassing, okay? It's embarrassing. Like, Julia, like what? We're telling our sins here. But I haven't touched him or anything. I just got involved with him when he was like my neighbor. So you shouldn't lash out on a teenager boy. Like, I got so angry at him, and it was because they were being noisy at the middle of the night. And I didn't handle the situation like in a nice, neat way. I handled it pretty volcanously. Like, yes. So, but back to the older man situation. So we met, and we met like secretly, and we met like at the dark forest, and we met like in the dark, and we met in, these are like secrets I'm telling. We met like in the dark sauna, not the sauna part, but the dressing room, so it was quite near the sauna, but yes, and in the basement, I mean, so, and it was like dark there, no lights on, and this is not what I want to experience, and I have experienced it, and it was my first dating experience. Like, I was 19 and 18 when he took contact with me, but I had had my first love, my first crush, and I didn't really like boys that often at that point yet, or like men. So boys, because I was like 16, 17, 18 or 14 when I was that young. So that wasn't me, like the typical me, like getting involved with like older men and such like that. So it's 8 p.m. here. It's like 15 minutes after 8 p.m. 8:15. Just checked. So, oh, Julia. So, funny thing was about this, my first love, my first crush, that yes, when he left me, I got to know that he had moved away to, I don't know if I should say that, that's too much, so, but he had moved away. So I was in high school, senior high school, or what do you call that? But like the school you go to after the junior high school. So I got to know that he had moved away, and I think it was the summer before the next, like, I don't even know how I got to know that, but I just got to know that. I wonder from where I got to know that. But yes, so I got a little emotional about it, like him had moving away, and I don't know, like the second year of high school, senior high school, I had my stomach problems and my anxiety issues. So I struggled a lot with school, and I just gave up basically. I had like been thinking that maybe I will see this, my first love, my first crush, this boy, if you know, that maybe I will see him. And then when I got to know that he had moved away, like I think he was my last motivation, and when he had moved away, I got to know that I kind of like went crazy, but it wasn't his fault, but I just lost my last motivation. And yes, it was during this time, maybe earlier already though, I don't remember, but I started like go for it. Like I started listening to grunge music and rock music and everything. And yes, so back to this older man, I can mention this. Okay, so it sounds like when we met we had like crazy experiences together and stuff like that, but we never had sex. And this might be a reason for why it lasted so long. So I think he was waiting for sex, and that was a big motivation for him to meet me, but I never gave it to him. So that's another thing. But definitely we kissed and we hugged and we were being sexual, but it wasn't sex. So, but it was touching and stuff like this, turning the other one on and getting close and intimate. And we met in his car as well. So the thing is, he tried to get me to come and meet him, and that's why we met at the dark forest, because it was late and no one was walking. Let's go from the beginning. So why did he want to meet me so close to my home? Like, then my parents could see him. Well, so it would be easy for me to come and meet him. So that's why we were close to where I lived. It was like literally the forest next to it was it was at the forest next to where I lived. So why it was so close was because it would be easier for me to come and meet him. So tröskeln, what is that in English? Like the step to come and meet him would be smaller, wouldn't be so high. You know, it would be lower, the step to come and meet him. But then the problem was that we were close to where I lived, so my parents could have seen us, like, from the window or something. So it had to be dark and late at night. So that's why it was like that. But then he tried to get me to come and meet him, like, more far away, so we could get more intimate. You can't obviously get so intimate in a forest where people are walking. So that's when he started to get me to come and meet me, like, to another forest, like quite near where I lived. So he came there with his car, and then he would park the car there in that forest, and I would go there to that car and with him and be intimate there with him. And that was my first dating experience. And all of this, like, crazy, right? Like, I was 19 and 20 when we were meeting, and 21 even, but 19, 20 when it was like the most. And it wasn't so romantic, so it was quite nasty the way we met, and I don't want to experience something like this anymore. Like, I think not. Like, well, I'm quite alone nowadays, so anything is better than being alone, loneliness. But I would want things to be a little bit more romantic and a little bit more, like, you know, like, not so secretish. Like, I would want to show my boyfriend or my partner to the world, and not it being so secretive and such. I'm trying to get this phone to be straight. So yes. So that's a lot to talk about. And so I'm sorry for his girlfriend that he was dealing with while meeting me. Like, it wasn't on purpose. I was secretly his second woman and the other woman. And he also involved his sons. He had 2 sons, and he involved them to this thing. And so that's why I also thought that it's just me and not him having a girlfriend or other women. But you know, I started reading about narcissism and watching these videos, and they really clicked on him. But the funny thing was that he said that his ex-wife was a psychopathic narcissist, so it could have been, but I thought he was having this trait, so he was acting like one himself. So I don't want to talk about that, like I have talked about that a lot already, so I just don't feel like talking about that. But I have wrote about narcissism on my Facebook page and profile, and I have my Facebook profile linked on my in my About Me section on my YouTube page, so you can go and check it out there. Like I think, I don't remember the album name though, but I don't know if I have that anymore. It's either in the psychological matters, that album, or healing. I could go and check it out actually now. Yes, it was in the album Heal. So there I have wrote about narcissists, and I think that is a really good writing I have wrote about narcissism. So I have linked my Facebook profile in my About Me section here on my YouTube channel. So in the About Me, there is my Facebook profile. So if you go to my Facebook profile and look up to the album Heal, it's quite, you have to scroll, like it's quite at the earlier albums, the first albums I've made. Like not the first, but it's like more like to the beginning of my albums, not the end part. So there I have wrote about narcissists, and I really liked Melania Evanitonias, or Melania Evanitonias. I have to go and check out her name as well.